Well, what do most of you do when you have an issue and you ask for help? You get that help, talking financially normally. Let's say you're being asked for a loan, right? And I just found out today that you can enable and hurt people like I've known the whole time. And basically still, because they're not financially ready to do certain things, you've in fact put them in a greater disadvantage because you've given them funds that they wouldn't otherwise have and haven't necessarily gained the responsibility and wisdom to use those funds because of the fact that they've never had them and didn't necessarily go through the difficulty in learning how to acquire it. And I'll say that in this instance, without the knowledge to use the funds, there's no point to really give it to them. Which is kind of what I'm learning, because in this story it was kind of like a friend of mine had his car break down, right? So the car broke down actually out of town. It wasn't so far away, it was impossible, but the main point about this is that they were so, I won't say afraid, but just, how do I say this? Let's just say the relationship with their brother, who they lend money to all the time, isn't the best, right? And I don't get that because I have a great relationship with both of them. So it's kind of funny to me that neither one of them, even though I'll say one understands how to make money much easier, and because of that, he's like me, he tends to waste it a lot more. Well, when I was younger at least, because he makes it easier. And then the other one, I'll say makes it harder, and he's the one I loaned it to, and normally is more physically responsible. But it's like, but the younger one's issue with the older one has always been that the older one doesn't, who I think is financially responsible, he really doesn't see him making wise decisions with the money, because we're teaching him how to invest and stuff like that. Now, I'll say he generally does make wiser decisions if he gives himself time to think. Okay? But normally, if all human beings, if they aren't given time to think or anything, then they tend to make a very stupid decision. And I'll say making a decision based on anything but numbers is stupid. And I say that because of the fact that when you're making a decision based on emotion, it has nothing to do with whether or not it's good or bad for you. Okay? Now, if you choose to do something and you financially can't, it obviously is bad. If you choose to do something and say, let's say, I have a rule, and it's, if I want to spend $1, I have to have $5 saved. Okay? Point blank. So I don't care if it's $1,000, and that means I have $5,000 saved. Okay, so most people don't do these rules. Most people don't have any type of financial guidance, and getting there is very difficult. This is the fact that you need the finances to learn from these things and normally make mistakes first. And these mistakes are normally very detrimental, but the pain causes you to remember, and you tend to not make that mistake again. So this is one instance where I have to let him learn on his own, and it's killing me because I've been saying that this was going on the whole time. The main story is I was lucky enough to be raised by a bunch of mechanics. Okay? My grandfather was a mechanic, my uncle was a mechanic, my cousins are mechanics. Like literally, the back of my grandmother's house, and she owned 2 of them, the back was actually a mechanic shop. And him and my uncle Derek, literally, tow truck and all, they had tow trucks with names on them, like they had a mechanic shop. So it was literally what I saw as a kid all the time. I used to play with all the little books and stuff, but it seems like obvious to me that when my grandfather got hurt and the shop was no longer running, and this is now in my teens, that my grandmother, and it was funny to see a woman go into a mechanic shop and know as much as the mechanics, because my grandfather believed in teaching her. And basically, she would go in there, and I remember this one time when I was 16, and a mechanic tried to charge her $15 to take off. No, it wasn't $15. He tried to charge her. It was some crazy amount, but it was to basically put on a bolt for the windshield wiper. And I remember because I was, I think in high school, I remember coming home and she had the windshield wiper and she had the ratchet and everything that was waiting on the porch for me. And it was $20 there, and it was like, well, Go ahead and change it. I'll give you $20. He was trying to charge like $150 an auto. I remember that. And it was to put on a bowl. And she just kind of laughed. She was like, I'm not going to let no fool take me, baby. And, I'd rather give you $20 to do it for me. And you earn some money and learn that this is what you do. And so that kind of always struck a nerve with me. Like, this guy was going to take advantage of her, and he didn't even know she knew more than he did. And the only reason he was mansplaining how to put this part into her was because she was a woman. Now, most people think that this just happens with women. No, this happens with anyone where you have less knowledge than someone else. Point blank. It's a point. That's how money's made, which is a sad thing, but it's what it is. And especially now, like, people are so hard up, they're willing to say and do anything because the mechanic basically told him, 1, it was going to be 10 days. 2, that it was one part blown, which was his engine. His engine was going to be replaced, supposedly for $2,800. Now, in reality, it's a $1,200 job. I know this. At $100 an hour for the average mechanic, 8-hour job, cost of the part. Okay, so now he tells him, after pulling and replacing the engine, okay, and saying yesterday that all he had left was to flush the radiator. Today now he's told that, hey, your transmission is of course dead too. And it blew out the new engine. So I need to now get 2 new ones. And it's gonna cost you another $2,200. And he calls me up and tells me this, and I'm like, well, damn. I mean, you need to take your money and go. No. So I'm real argumentative, as you guys see in my channel. I'm just like, okay, you know what? Why am I getting upset? I lent you the money. What you do with the money is your choice. I don't care. So I'm kind of like, well, how are you just unwise enough to unsee all that? But I created the situation, see? If I had given him that, he would have never got conned out of it. He would have learned the hard way that he needed to save a little more and maybe buy a new car, which was my first suggestion. For the cost of this, the car is his. There's no note. Like, it's a 10-year-old car anyway. Like, why are you replacing it? Because you love it. Okay, don't make it based on emotion. If you figured out that his car was legally totaled, which is what it is, because now it's costing him more than the value of the car by about 40 or 50%, then why would you do it? It's based on emotion. Because you feel a need for this. Now, lo and behold, after all of this, I find out he's in Atlanta, right? His brother is currently in Miami, coming back tomorrow. So I call him up now, and I'm like, hey, come by and see me, right? So he does it, no questions asked. So I'm trying to figure out, like, because I just suggested to him, like, why not buy a plane ticket, bus ticket, something, and say, fuck it, like, at least go run out of town and file a lawsuit, because that's what it is time for me now. Like, you don't play with money, you don't play with something no, we don't play about that stuff. So, instead of even telling his brother, of even saying that, hey, I need a ride back because you and your girl are coming back from vacation in Miami, and you're gonna pass me tomorrow. I'd rather sit here another week and not say nothing. All because if I tell you I had to do all this, then the point of you telling me I'm not as wise as I am about my finances is quite true. Because I can't even humble myself enough to even tell you, like, to have help nothing. Because that's just what it is. Like, he's young, but I give him this. Good with money. Like, he make money like it ain't shit. I don't get why he won't. It makes no sense to me. So, with that, I just say sometimes helping people isn't helping them, and you're in fact hurting them. And now I see that. So I had to learn something here too. So, but I thought it was help. It wasn't help. All I did was put him in a situation that he doesn't have the skills to basically walk his way through currently yet. And hopefully with this testing situation, he'll at least learn the skills to be able to not have this happen in the future or to be taken so easily. Although he thinks the guy is honest and all this other shit. You can't tell a lie and be honest at the same time. Like, and it's not like it's small white lies that don't affect. I'm talking like he hid the fact that his transmission was even broke until he drove 100 miles to tell him in person. Said that all of his clientele run off. So my first thing was, he's testifying to you. He's telling you all of his clients run off. And you still trust him. So, with that I say, not all help is good help. And maybe sometimes you need to let folks learn on their own. So, have a good day.